Hi, my name is Bo, and welcome to the series where we are going to attempt to change from a typical web developer with no real super in-depth knowledge of computing to an actual good developer. So, if you're like me, you kind of probably started out in web. Maybe you have some sort of formal education. I did go to university for 1 year and studied computer science, so I do have some sort of base knowledge starting out, but I've spent the past 7 years of my career being a web developer and not really uh, doing anything special with computing. Um, the I've kind of fallen into the typical pit of just build things and make them work. Right? We don't care about load time as much. If you get into like the 30 seconds, some people might have issue, but we don't care about load time. We don't care about efficiency. We'll just scale up servers. Kind of, I feel like this is the typical realm that a lot of normal web developers have fallen into. And I'm going to try to bust out. I'm no expert. I'm starting from like a very, very base knowledge point. Um, but I'm hoping to kind of show you guys the path, um, share some resources, what I'm reading, what the notes I'm writing, what projects I'm working on. Um, and then the idea is hopefully to slowly work on building a game. Games are just an interest to me, but you can build, if you're following along, you can kind of build whatever you want. But the goal is to be building things outside of typical web, or you could do websites and just kind of go into them with more of a better mindset about the data, about the efficiency, what's happening, stuff like that. And I hope we can grow together. I hope you can join me in trying to grow as well. So this is going to be episode 0. We're kind of going to start with a very base. I will be transparent. I have already started down the path. Really, I've been trying this initiative to like grow my understanding over the past probably 2 months, but really the past like week and a half to 2 weeks has been like kind of focused on low level efficiency over just like how to write, go a little bit better in the back end and stuff like that. But I want to start off from a very base point of the things that I'm doing. I feel like I'm the average person, the average developer. So a lot of you might be feeling the same thing and want to make some of these mindset and habit changes, along with me. Um, so the first thing that I started down this path in is waking up early. Waking up specifically at 6. Now, you don't specifically have to do this, but there's something to be said about, kind of setting aside time for yourself to have some of this learning, right? So for me specifically, I am a family man, so I do have family obligations as well as I have my full-time job. So trying to kind of go outside these hours and find time to learn can be pretty hard. I think I sat down and did the math recently, and probably at most I'll have 32 to 35 hours a week, kind of to myself in general. So that also includes time. I'm a gamer. I like playing video games and kind of exploring that realm. But this eats into that time too, right? Where we want to um, we want to use time to our advantage and continue our learning path, but we also don't want to get in the way of kind of this uh, relaxation process, kind of reset ourselves for the week, um, stuff like that. We want to make sure that we're not completely burning ourselves out. And I'm going to quickly reopen this because the screen share does not seem to be working. But um, the way that I really started this process was waking up at 6 a.m. And really in general kind of following time blocking. right? So it starts, at 6 a.m. Typically, the kids wake up about 8 o'clock. So I wake up at 6. By the time I'm at my computer, kind of more fully awake, we're approaching 6:30. So I have this kind of 6:30 to 8 o'clock block. That is like kind of either my decompressor learning time. I kind of let myself be a little bit flexible with it, um, but like that is the idea. Is every day this is time for learning. On top of that, around 10 o'clock, I take a break. The children take a nap, so it's kind of time that I set aside for myself. Along with that, with 2, and then after they go to bed, so at 7. So kind of these 4 areas that'll ever load are the time blocks that I have kind of set aside for learning or decompressing or whatever else. And so doing that, I can actually, knowing these are consistent, I can organize them, right? So I can open my calendar, I can block them all off on a calendar, and at the start of every week, I can go through and say, this is going to be for coding, this is going to be for reading, this is going to be, relaxation or playing this specific game. Because you can also play games to, like study game programming. So that's a technique that I found to be really strong so far, is being able to like set this time kind of on a schedule. Your brain gets in the mode of like, okay, I'm ready to read, or I'm ready to take notes, or watch a couple videos, or listen to a speech, right? It gets in this mode where it's ready to do that at these specific times. So on top of that, another big thing that I've been dealing with that I feel like a lot of people do is this little guy right here. This is my cell phone. Phone addiction has been a problem for me for a very long time. I feel like it has almost really kind of killed my attention span as well. I feel like this is typical for a lot of people who interact a lot on social media, watch TikTok or YouTube Shorts, stuff like that, where not only does it take up a lot of your time, and it kind of becomes a default whenever there's a little bit of downtime, you grab your phone, but I feel like it has really impacted my learning, as I can't just hold my attention on things the way that I used to be able to when I was, 14, 15, and we had smartphones, but they were pretty new. And there wasn't really this like super attention seeking, try to always be super flashy and grab your attention coming up yet. So without going down the rabbit hole of all of that, this is something that I've been trying to get rid of. So the way that I've been doing this is, what is formally called a barrier to my phone, as well as anything else that I feel like it takes my attention, where at these time blocks, or if I have some specific goal in mind, maybe I'm working on a task for work as well, I will go put my phone on the charger in my bedroom. So it's completely across the house. I don't have ease of access to it, and I found that this has really allowed me to like fully focus on what's in front of me, right? It is something you have to be intentional about, though, right? It's not super easy to just not grab your phone if it's on your desk, or think about the fact in the real moment that like this is something I need to work deeply on. I need to go put my phone away. But it's something you kind of have to do, that you have to start kind of trending towards doing. But as I've been keeping my phone away, I have really found that I've been able to focus, as well as it's kind of been detraining kind of this issue of a problem with my attention span, right? And really kind of the last thing that's like easy enough to practice, right, in terms of a general idea, is typing speed, right? I want to get faster at typing. I want to really I want to be able to get my thoughts onto the computer much faster, right? So I don't type slowly, right? I've typed home row forever. I had a tech class in 6th grade that taught us to touch type. So it's not really a problem I've had that I'm like peck typing or doing anything like ridiculously slow, right? However, I have kind of lost my ability to type as fast as I used to, right? Because I used to always be talking to people on Discord. Um, I played a lot of games that used a lot of typing growing up, and so I feel like my typing was in the realm of like 120 for a long time, and testing it now recently, it's been more in the realm of 90 to 95 words per minute, which isn't ridiculously slow. Like I said, this isn't something that like massively needs to change. It's just something I want to be kind of intentional about working on a little bit as I'm like continuing down this process. I would like to see it like consistently in the triple digits again, without really having to think about typing quickly, right? I want to be quicker at coding so I can get my thoughts out easier. I can work a little bit faster and stuff. So in terms of outside of these kind of general ideas and mindset shifts that I'm doing, uh, what have I actually been learning? As a programmer, for most of my career, I have used JavaScript, as a lot of other people have as well. I have web experience specifically with Java. I've used Python. Um, I've used Go, kind of down this rabbit hole of these are all high level languages, right? I mean, Go's kind of like slightly more towards the middle. Go and Java can be used like more lower level, but we're still talking about garbage collected. We're still talking about automatic memory management, not having to worry about any of that, not having to worry about efficiency, stuff like that. So I decided I wanted to go down a level, right? I wanted to learn a low-level programming language, but I also didn't want to kind of get stuck in the past, and I didn't want it to be like ridiculously difficult. So this told me kind of a couple things. I wanted to avoid C. I feel like that's just so. If I were to sit down and learn C, right, like it would take a while, but like the payoff would be immense. I would really understand why a lot of these programs were written and how they were written. However, I just didn't want to set the bar that high, right? I wanted something that could keep my attention. I could get going with pretty quickly, and really still be able to grasp these like kind of lower level concepts. So what did that leave me? So that left me with kind of a few options, right? There's Zig. If you guys haven't seen this, this is like a very modern C. Very, very strict, very, very manual memory management and stuff. This is the hole a lot of people go down. There's also, I would love to write it, but there's Jai, but this is closed. This is in closed beta, and seems like it will be for a few years. So it's something that doesn't make sense to really, even if you get in like to the closed beta, I'm not sure it's worthwhile for someone who's learning to be using, right? And so the third option, which ended up being the one I went with, was Odin. So Odin is it has a lot of foundations in Go. It's also there's manual memory management, but it's not like super excessively hard to understand. I feel like it's pretty intuitive, and as long as you understand like what gets allocated, it's very easy to understand how to deallocate it. It's also easy to write kind of small programs in, because of the third point, which it's procedural, right? I don't necessarily have a super hefty opinion against object-oriented development. It's a lot harder to do in Go in terms of like actually writing classes, and so I've written a lot of code that's not object-oriented and more script type. But with Odin, it's super easy. Like I feel like even having strictly type, having manual memory management, that I build just as fast and as I do these other programming languages, because I don't need to understand all these advanced concepts about how these programs work to get started, right? That's something I can learn later. So I picked Go, and over the past probably week and a half or so, I've been reading the Odin book. This is actually third party to Odin, right? So this is not written by. It's I believe it's one of the contributors who wrote it, but it's not kind of the creator of it who wrote it or anything. But it's very nice to have kind of an in-depth look at how everything works, even though it's coming from a game development background. Um, or it's coming from someone with a game development background, which Odin is has a lot of applications in game programming. It's not specifically game focused. However, that's how I'm using it, right? But I feel like this book doesn't need you don't need to be focused on game programming to really read this book. Um, and it is pushed by by Odin itself and the owner. They push people towards this book to use it as a resource, as well as just reading the docs, reading the source code, um, stuff like that. So I highly recommend reading it if you wanna get into Odin. But there's a few chapters on manual memory management, dynamic allocation, and stuff like that that I feel like really let me easily wrap my head around these concepts without having to go and basically learn a whole new language, like a whole new hard to learn language. Like C, like I said, like there are a lot of foundations in Go as well as a few other procedural languages. So I felt super easy, like it felt super easy to write kind of out of the gate as I was learning it. So where are we going from here, right? So I'm continuing reading the book and learning kind of these concepts in Odin itself. And I can talk about some of these concepts more in depth in future episodes, but since this is kind of overview and about more of the mindset shifts, where am I going from here after this book? So like I said, I've started building a game. This is a 2D puzzle game, maybe some platformer elements. My goal is to have something buildable that it can be maybe not fully released, but be up on the Steam store, kind of at the end of the year, right? So I want to kind of slowly work on it and build and add these mechanics as I learn more about the programming language, or about low level programming and better programming and efficient programming, right? In terms of what we'll be reading after the Odin book, there is another book I have. It's called The Art of Game Design. So I have these all up on a whiteboard on the wall. But this is my plan for the next book I read. I don't think that this is specifically to do with low level or efficient programming, but more to do with building the game. And I think to be a better low level or efficient developer, right, I need to learn game design because I'll keep building the game, right? Like if I can learn game design, then I have more to build in the game and grasp these concepts better as I build them. And then on top of that, kind of as this is going on, these are more like when I'm in the mood for reading and taking notes and stuff. So there are 2 courses that I have access to that I will be slowly working through as well. One of them is a free course from MIT online. I believe it's called Math for Computer Science, right? So in high school, in my 1 year of college, I was a math nerd, right? I grasped math concepts super easily, but really as being a web developer for so many years and not needing them, I have completely lost track of the math that goes into computer science. And so this is something that I'm going to have to learn, but I didn't want to go into it and like relearn all of these like super advanced math topics on their own. So I looked it up and kind of wanted to see something with more of a specific computer science application. There's this course from MIT. I haven't even started it. I don't really know fully what's in it yet, but I feel like it's really going to be a good place to start and help me learn the unknown unknowns, right? Bring them into the known realm, even if I don't fully know them, because I feel like that's a big issue in programming, right? Is you can really go learn any subject that you want to learn, but you have to do so. Um, like you have to know the concept is there to even know that you need to use it, right? When you're programming a game, you need to know how matrices are used in game math to understand, okay, this is a place where I need to use a matrix. Now let me go learn matrix math, right? So you need to at least be exposed to these concepts to understand that you need to learn them in the right in the right time. Um, and then the last piece I will be kind of working through is I feel like if anyone's going down this path with me, you have heard about this kind of course, which uh, is from Casey Muratori. It's I believe it's just computerenhance.com, but I've listened to a lot of his talks. I have watched a lot of his content. I recommend you do as well. I haven't made it through like Handmade Heroes or anything, but he's really kind of become an educator in the realm of kind of efficient and good programming, right? So he's not game specific. He has experience like kind of working in games, but it's not like his knowledge isn't specifically tied to games. So if your goals are other things outside of games, he's still a very good resource. I haven't started on this course either, but there's so much content in it. I mean, there are hundreds of 20 to 30-minute episodes. Um, so it's gonna be a while to work through. So these are kind of the resources that I'm looking at right now. If you have anything you would recommend, or just kind of more ideas of the things that you're reading or things that I should look into, let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you join me on this path and we become better developers together. Thanks.